Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is podcast time again. Another week, another set of stories. It's the Two Big Guys in Grover podcast with Scott Grover, Cris Welch, Cody McGee. How you guys doing today?
Well, doing well.
I'm Cody McGee, and that's
Cris Welch.
Yeah, that's Cris.
so-
We if you watched last week, we switched spaces. They put the
Balance.
not so big guy in the middle to balance the scales a little bit. If you
why do you have to bring up a scale?
Why do you?
the door's
For
locked.
real, dude.
The door's locked.
I mean,
The door is
gosh.
locked.
Well, I mean, we can't lie. You guys are bigger than me.
Yeah, but you don't have to talk about scales.
Other than I did get on the scale in the bathroom here at the 100X World headquarters and did not know I weighed that much.
See, we have
Same.
Guess who's going to the gym today?
Same.
This guy, right? Sure.
Yeah, well, some of us just don't step on the scale.
That's
I mean, for real, like I just walk past it. I don't even. I don't
know.
even have. Sometimes I actually have a conversation with, and I leave.
I know. I know. I can tell.
Yeah,
That's-
I can tell. Wow,
I don't know where to go with that.
exactly. Well,
Tomato. Heard it both ways. I don't know.
Let's talk about that. We always say, people say to us all the time, man, you guys are big or this or that, and we
Big
have the
guys.
conversation of.
Two big guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're the two big guys to most people, and it's not. The conversation has always been, go grab one of the big guys from 100X, or go grab one of the. And so, when we started talking about the name of this and with you, and that's why you're in the center now, was to balance us out, because Cris was over here and it was tipping the scale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It made the camera.
The room was leaning. So
definitely was
now
leaning.
the room is.
Yeah, but
was back.
I mean, that's
I
who we
resemble
are.
that
and
remark.
We do get that a lot, you know. You do resemble that remark. But it is the two big guys in Grover. And
Hey, if
and
the
that's-
tent fits,
that's why.
wear it.
Yeah,
The tent fits.
Yeah.
Wear it. I like that.
I've never bought a tent.
Oh yeah, you have.
You guys never buy anything. No, nothing.
Oh.
Us?
Yeah, neither one of you buy anything.
You lie.
Well, actually, you don't buy as much as this guy buys.
Two of
Dude,
everything.
you know the
Like if this guy sees one of something, he will have three of something.
that's true.
That's have one at work, have one at home,
That's right.
have one in the truck.
And
Because-
have one lost.
Because believe me, everybody needs a mailbox that is a football helmet. That's
No,
probably my
no,
favorite
no, no, no.
purchase
Actually,
of yours.
You need two of them.
You need two of them.
Because
I was gonna say, I think he has two of them,
I
don't
do.
you? Yeah.
Well, you
And
never
the one
know.
is bright orange. Like, who's gonna put a
Well,
bright
they're both
orange?
orange.
Yeah.
Who's gonna put a bright orange mailbox in front of your house?
Somebody from
But
Platte
But it would
County.
fit now in Platte
Platte-
County.
Oh my goodness.
See, he could
Yeah.
put stickers on
What
the
he's
side of
talking
it
about
that
is
say
that-
pirates.
Yeah, what he's talking about is where we're at here. Our local high school's colors are black and orange.
There
But
you
I still
it.
have yet to find a house that would have an orange mailbox.
Yeah, well,
But what's crazy is he doesn't. It's still in the box.
It's getting mail in the garage.
taking up space.
Have you ever been in Chris's garage?
But if you need anything,
Really?
Chris is the guy to call.
Have you ever been in Chris's garage?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
There's
We
more
did a
hunting
gara-
stuff in there
We
than
did a garage
Cabela's.
sale there one time. Actually,
you-
the
and
other
it
day
was
we
empty,
were,
wasn't it?
Well, and what was crazy was we were looking for a pump at the ranch to figure out how to hook it up to a diesel tank. And my first thought was, hey, you know what? Chris just might have one laying around. Guess what? He did.
And a tank.
Two of them.
Two of them.
And the tank. You
Yeah.
never know.
It's true though. So, yeah, Chris does not ever buy anything. He buys multiples
them.
of something.
Multiples
Yep.
of something.
But that's okay. In some cases, that's all right.
Yep.
Sometimes
But you got to have stuff.
that's right. All right, back
Big-
on track.
Big weekend in Western sports. Let's break down some. First off, some rodeo news for you. Kissimmee, Florida had their annual Silver Spurs Rodeo. Brody Urey won that. Cole Melanson was second. Then he went to Perry, Georgia, and won the rodeo there. Then went to the PBR for the weekend. The Extreme Bulls in San Antonio wrapped up over the weekend. Our buddy Boudreaux Campbell was the champion there.
Wow.
Kai Hamilton, number one man in the PRCA World
Hold on, he
Standings,
was
won
the
Tucson.
Yeah, Extreme Bulls.
Yeah.
but he didn't win two. He didn't
No,
win
no,
San
no,
Antonio.
he didn't win San Antonio.
Denton won
because
San Antonio.
Denton Fugate from
That's right.
Missouri won
Local
San
guy.
Antonio. So
Nice job, Denton.
congratulations to Denton Fugate. Shout out to our buddy Brad Narducci playing the tunes down there at San Antonio. He's had, I think that rodeo's 87 performances long, and
It's
every one of them was on television.
Well, and you had Webster and Rump and Narducci all together every night and every performance.
How would you like that cocktail?
Yeah.
It was.
I'll take a little bit of Rump, add a little bit of Narducci, and
just a splash of Webster.
A splash of Webb.
Just a splash
Well,
of Webb.
you only need a splash of Webster.
Yeah. But we got it. It was
Yep.
what a great rodeo that is, and all the money is won. So congratulations again to Boudreaux Campbell for winning the Extreme Bulls and Denton Fugate for winning the rodeo. That clocked Denton Fugate $23,000.
Right.
So that was definitely his biggest win of his career so far.
But that is a guy that local, regional, because we're where we're at. We've seen him for years. Yep. To see that happen to him is what I feel happens every weekend as we talk about as the PBR has grown and those things. He's able to go and get on and cover. And I love to see it on the PRCA side. I mean, he is chasing them yellow buck and shoots, and it's awesome to see him doing it now. But that's what's cool about rodeo is it's different than any other sport. The NFL, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to go from one weekend of, catching a touchdown to catching a touchdown.
Yeah, in Major League Baseball, very seldom do they pull a guy up from an A or single double A.
Whereas
they might jump
sport,
from a double A, but
all the way around, all sports within rodeo, this can happen. It's not just bull riding.
Well, and speaking of the PBR, over the weekend there was two Pendleton Whiskey Velocity Tour events. Hampton, Virginia happened. Bruno Scarinelli won that event. Ty Chandler was able to put two big rides together in Worcester, Mass. The points he got there moved him now all the way to number 24 in the world standings. And St. Louis, I think we kind of thought Dalen Swearingen was going to sweep the weekend.
Man, after the 15-15.
Won the 15-15 and is riding lights out. He's number 4 in the world, but it was the new number 1 ranked bull rider in the world this week, which will be Jose Vitor-Limi. Won that event in St. Louis.
I'll tell you what, a few years ago, you'd see Cody Jesus open up with his outside leg but when Dalen opens up with his outside leg, it's fun to watch.
Well, I was sitting at a rodeo in, I don't remember if we were in Crossett, Arkansas, and looking through the day sheet, and Billy Jones was there with Lancaster and Jones and Pete Carr, and I looked down and I said, "Oh man, Dalen turned out." And he goes, "That's okay, that's fine." And I went,
"He's a bull guy."
I said, "Why is that?" And he goes, "Because that guy spurs bulls." He said, "I've never seen a guy ride and spur bulls the way that guy spurs bulls." He said, "So it's okay."
Well, that's your moneymaker.
It's aggressive. You don't get to hear that side of it if you're not sitting in the stands at one of those events. There was actually a Dale Brisby video a couple weeks ago of JB getting on his tennis shoes. I don't know if y'all saw that video or not. You hear JB open up with his outside leg, and you can hear the flat. You got pop, pop. It's the same thing though. When Dalen opens up, man. Yeah. But if you think about the sheer balance he has to open up with that outside leg and to go that far.
Well, it was
it's that fast.
Judge, they interviewed the judge on Ride Pass, and he was talking about, as soon as he started opening up that leg, showing pure dominance over that bull, because from the audience view, some people don't understand exactly what that is. Sometimes they think the rider's out of place and his leg's flying. Yeah. It's totally opposite. He is in so much control. He's able to spurring the
well, and we've seen Dalen open up and buck off though.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
there was a bull in, I believe it was New York City this year. He opened up and he bucked off that man. At the NFR, it happened to him twice.
Yeah,
and Gary LeFew looked at him. We were standing up there on the one of the Cowboy Christmases, and LeFew said, "Man, why are you doing that?" And Dalen's like, "I thought I was there." And he's like, and then Gary had another conversation with him, which was way out of my league, even as much as I know about it. Talking about shoulders and driving his hips and all these things. And Dalen looked at him and said, "I totally understand that." So it was cool to have that conversation and see it. But he does. We've seen him open up and buck off. But
that's his confidence.
Back to your weekend.
Yeah.
Yes, it looked like he was getting ready to go all the way. But you can't count out Jose.
No. And Jose, now, again, the new number 1 ranked bull rider in the world. Jess Lockwood, 115 points behind. Joao Ricardo Vieta, 136.25 points behind. But this week is Kansas City, which is good for us because it's close to home, but it's also going to be cut week. So if you are not above that number 30 ranked bull rider in the world, you will find yourself next week being on the PBR's Pendleton Whiskey Velocity Tour.
When you look at the riding percentages of guys right now, Jose's at like 75%, 74%.
Jose is at 80% now.
Yeah.
He was 76% before he rode, and it jumped him up.
So you've got guys, though, from Jess to Eduardo, so in your top 10, that are all riding above 50% except for one. That's
it does say 74%.
Except for Colton Jesse.
Jesse.
He's at like 41%, but has enough world points that he's still.
But he's rode those the ranker bulls that he's had to ride, and that was what I was getting at. He's sitting number 8 in the world. He's 13 to 31, and he's only 415 points behind. Flisco talked to him this weekend. He talked about getting engaged and all these things, and now you've got him. This kid, look out. I mean, I really. Colton is not afraid to get on the rank bulls.
No, absolutely. I mean, he's cowboy to
he
the
is
core.
all cowboy.
And he came back, and I think he was the best one that came back from injury that we had of anybody that came back out of the injuries from last season. So speaking of a little bit of setbacks, Lockney, Texas, they had a mini bull riding there at the Leal Arena. That was also an event that was shown on Ride Pass, an event that you guys with 100X are very, very close to with those bull riding kids in the Braxton Thompson Invitational. And you guys had caught up with Braxton.
Yeah,
back when he was sick and going through stuff.
So the backstory on Braxton is, he's an NBR kid that great kid, everybody's best friend type of thing around there. Approximately a month and a half ago, was diagnosed, had a tumor, that was attached to his right next to his brain and his skull. So actually went in, had it removed.
He was losing eyesight.
Yeah, he'd lost about 90 plus in his right and about 50% in his left. And so they found it, went in, removed the majority of it, and is on his chemo right now. Just starting his chemo. I think they were giving him some time to heal and things like that, and just starting that. So, the Leals were gracious enough to, put the naming rights, put the name out there, and for his benefit. And I think they were raising money, and which is awesome. Great family. Great family.
And you guys interviewed him, and that's an interview that you can find.
Yeah, we're going to upload
we'll
that
branch
interview
that up with the podcast one way or another.
Yeah, that's an interview that if you sit down and you listen to it, you got to remember that this is a 14-year-old kid, 13 or 14-year-old kid, sitting in a hospital, just had brain surgery, or tumor, however it works out, and just the sheer tenacity that he had to have the conversation,
and more importantly, the positive attitude.
Oh my goodness!
It was like, hey, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I have all the confidence
I encourage
in the world.
everybody to listen to that interview. It's a little hard. There's a few spots in it just because of the phones and things and how we got to connect with him.
Yeah.
But I do encourage everybody to listen to it. If you need a little encouragement from a 14-year-old kid,
it's
a good place to start.
And that's the backstory. We're going to try to catch up with him in the next couple weeks and drop another interview from him and see how the process is going, see how he's feeling, see what the next steps are for him. But let's get away from Western sports for a second, because there was something that was known to the rest of the world yesterday on the internet through sports channels everywhere, something that a lot of us already knew.
Is this appropriate?
But yeah, it's totally appropriate. But there's a pitcher in Major League Baseball. He used to pitch for the Giants, and that's another story. He beat us in the World Series. But Madison Bumgardner, who still to this, I mean, he will always be one of my favorite pitchers of all time. He just signed a new contract with the Arizona Diamondbacks, but
$85 million, by the way.
Yeah, 85
5 years, $85
million. But we knew that Madison was a cowboy. Mm-hmm. We all knew that he roped. I didn't know it was this huge secret necessarily. I thought the Giants said, "Hey, as long as you're not doing it during the season, we don't care. But don't rope during the season because we don't want you losing fingers." Which I guess you can lose a finger at any point in time roping, which we know. But he was roping under an alias, Mason Saunders, $126,000 in Vegas. Somebody takes a picture of him, and now the rest of Major League Baseball knows all about it.
So I think there's a lot of points here to talk about. One, it's not uncommon to have a professional athlete come over to rodeo, and vice versa.
Bulldoggers.
Bear Pasco has come over and has done very well. I mean, he's got a championship ring, and he's got all those things.
But he didn't do a lot of that while he was still playing.
No, But you know what he did in college? I mean, he bulldogged all through college. Right. You know, you can go back as far as Jared Allen when he played for the Chiefs and in Minnesota. And those, he grew up on a ranch. I mean, you could hand him a rope now, and he can handle a rope. Most people knew him because he owned a bull team in the PBR and those things. But what they don't know is he calf roped in high school. You can go back and look him up, and he roped calves all through high school. But for Madison to have this alias of, and we knew it because in the rodeo world, it's like, oh, he's entered and he's not entered, but he won some money out there, which $26,000 to a normal rodeo cowboy is a lot of money.
But not to an $85 million pitcher.
That's like one hand in blackjack.
But that's what I was going to say is, so here he wins $26,000 on a, like, December the 3rd.
It's not about the money.
December the 5th. That's exactly what I was getting at. He signs a contract for $85 million. It wasn't about money at all. It's about his love of the sport. Yeah. And he said that over time that, when I get done, I'm gonna rope steers, and he does a good job of it.
Well, in a crazy story about Madison Bumgardner, so for those of you who don't know, I married into a family that does a lot of different things. Okay, I have a wife that has a lot of different things going on. I have a brother-in-law right over here with Cody that has a lot of things going on. One of the things that our family owns is a commercial carriage company on the plaza in Kansas City, the only remaining carriage company left in the history of Kansas City. And it was during the World Series week when we were playing the Giants that my father-in-law Bobby comes home and says, "Hey, I met a great guy tonight. He walked up, had long hair, kind of a beard, flat-brimmed hat or flat-bill cap, set of full quill ostrich square-toed boots, and he was talking about him and his family were in town for the World Series from California. They're fans of the Giants and just we're kind of cowboy people, and we just wanted to come up and see your horses and this and that." So he's like, "I just had a great conversation with the guy, but he never would tell me his name, never told me what he did." So we get home, game 7, I'm sitting on the couch, and he goes, "That's the guy." Yeah. And I said, "Who?" "That guy right there pitching is the guy that walked up to me on the plaza the other night to look at the carriage horses." And I said, "Oh, Madison Bumgardner. Yeah, he's a cowboy."
What they were is they were in between games. His family was here.
It was the night off. I think they were staying at the Intercontinental.
It was. They were across the way. They walked over and met Dad. And Dad is not going to be on. I mean,
he wouldn't know.
Dude, he's too busy. Right, he's too busy feeding horses and doing everything else that he enjoys in life that he doesn't. Very rarely does he ever pick up or even. If I said, "Dad, turn on ESPN," he wouldn't even know what channel it is. No. So I'm not even worried about it. But yeah, the fact that Madison was there and never said, "Hey, I'm Madison Bumgardner. No. I'm this," or "I'm that." It
still wouldn't have mattered.
And Dad would have been like, "Hey, that's great. Nice boots."
Yeah.
Type of deal. Because that's the one thing I heard from the conversation 3 times.
Yep.
And he had a nice pair of square toes on. But here's a guy that makes $85 million in 5 years, come over to rodeo, and I'm telling you, when the sea of team ropers comes into the NFR now, it used to be, growing up as a kid, you only went to the Vegas one time a year. It was for those 10 days of the NFR.
Yeah.
That was it. Now, we find ourselves, because of the PBR relationship and those things, we're out there for 14 days during the PBR. We're out there for 17 days during the NFR. And a few years ago, we were out there for 5 days because Eldorado Days was going on and PBR and stuff. So it was like 30-plus days a year we spend in Vegas. But my point with that is there was a lot of kids that their dream of making the yellow buck and shoots only came in those 10 days.
Right.
Not now. Right. I mean, because when we hit Vegas, it's not just the NFR. We've got junior rodeo after junior rodeo after junior rodeo. If kids saying, "Oh, I made it to Vegas." It used to be when I was a kid.
Indian rodeo. Yeah. The roping
you
World
say,
Series,
"I made it Vegas." Vegas
Series,
meant you made the NFR. Or I'm now it's back to Madison is now you have this team roping that goes on. And I don't know how many millions that thing pays out. But when they take over the South Point, you think that as PRCA personnel as we are, and we come in for the convention, and when I say we are pro rodeo, we are the backside of pro rodeo. I mean, we understand the day-to-day workings. We're not competitors. We understand the business side of it and everything. Show up for convention, our 3 days, we take over the South Point. We don't hold a candle.
No.
When those team ropers get
the
there.
sea of trailers.
Oh, my goodness.
And what's crazy is how many guys qualified in the team roping at the NFR?
15
that
on both sides.
Right, you're right. But don't go. They can't go to that jackpot roping.
No.
They can't go to the World Series roping. They could make that roping at the
10
South
times
Point pays more, I think, than the national finals rodeo.
Well, and this year I think they had 3 arenas, and we don't get over there. I mean, we're so busy doing our other stuff, but I think they had 3 arenas going nonstop for those 6 or 7 days, and then downtown now at the Plaza, which is downtown for those of you that don't know. Downtown Las Vegas is old school.
Yeah.
I guess where the
Fremont
Street, right off of Fremont Street. They've got a whole nother set of arenas now.
Yep.
And they had junior rodeos, and then
they had
the team
the
rope that
IMBRA.
he was at.
IMBA.
Yeah.
All right.
IMBA was down there for the bull ride. And then over at the Orleans, you got that all-in barrel racing going on.
And a breakaway rope.
And a breakaway rope, and that made Vegas. And so, but for him to show up down there, slide in, what was it? Mason Saunders or something?
Mason Saunders.
Mason Saunders comes in and wins 26,000. Everybody knew it.
Yeah.
But finally, the rest of the world hears about it. And now we're like,
yeah. It is
but let's talk about that from a coaching standpoint.
Oh, it kills you.
Yeah.
Lose a thumb, lose a finger, can't hit a curveball, can't drop pretty scary.
But he pitches with his left hand, not his right hand.
Well, it's all the same. It's an injury that you have to, that gets in the way of a season. And then when you're making, $85 million over 5, break down the math. Was that 15 a year or whatever that is? You want all of that guy. It's happened. NFL has had those high risk contract clauses. You can't participate. You can't jump out of an airplane. You can't go Red Bulls, and stuff like that. So, but you can't take, those guys are thrill seekers, risk takers. A lot of those guys have grown up, in that arena and the competitiveness. So
one thing that scares me is skiing. The guys that and it happens a lot in Western sports. Those guys will go snowboarding and snow skiing, and I look at that and go, how many people bust a leg skiing?
No doubt.
Well, you watch like a Steamboat every year for the Cowboy Downhill that goes on during Denver.
Yeah.
And you see those guys going down the hill that they don't only get on skis one time a year.
Yeah,
and
some of them.
And they put their but I'm saying this
Right.
whole group, they're entered in Denver and they get a chance to go over there and they put on their chaps, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, don't do that.
We got Mason Taylor and Triplett. They'd almost rather be doing that than anything else.
And Taylor too. All those 3 guys. Taylor and Mason go a lot together when it goes snowboarding and stuff like that.
How about them fools surfing a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, they were surfing. And then that takes all the. What's crazy about that one was they surfed the same day that they rode, and that's got to take a lot out of you. But
so you're saying you never swam when you played Little League baseball?
I don't swim now because I can't swim.
That's why I said it.
I was waiting for that.
I said it.
I am.
Chris doesn't swim either. He floats. He floats
like a rock.
Oh, Chris floats.
Yeah.
Really?
You ever seen Chris in the water?
No.
There's a movie called Free Willy.
I love the idea of swimming.
All right.
The idea of swimming is great.
But you don't swim though.
No, I don't know how to swim.
Did your mom and dad not swim? Because I know you know.
No, my mom did. My dad didn't. And I took swimming lessons as a kid, but never.
Where did you take swimming lessons at?
Washington, Kansas. Man, we have a pool.
They have during the
City
summer.
pool.
You mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. During the summer, nobody had an indoor pool.
Oh.
There might have been one person in the entire county that had a.
What's
pool in
Washington,
their
Kansas
backyard.
known for? Because you're actually from Moorville.
Okay.
You're from 15 minutes away.
Yeah, let's give you a little history. Okay, so Moorville, Kansas is a town of 100 people. That's with dogs and cats, so that goes different every day.
How many related to?
Quite a bit of it.
Okay.
It's a big old family. But we are known for the world's first bulldozer. We have an old Ford tractor with a blade on it, and a replica of it is sitting in the city park.
Oh, wow.
Now, you would think, well, it's just an old Ford tractor with a blade on it, but it was used to dig the pipeline. So it was the original bulldozer. And Washington is the hometown of the Mayor of Oz.
The Mayor of Oz, like
The mayor
movie
of the Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz?
Yep. The mayor from the Wizard of Oz, born and raised in Washington, Kansas.
So that's their only claim to fame? I'm just asking.
Yeah, man. 36 highway runs.
Because you got Chris who's from Yukon, Oklahoma, that's from Garth Brooks.
Yeah, no, there's not much.
It's hard to trump that one, but I was just seeing.
I love where I grew up, but like to go to Walmart, you went to the next state. So you went 20 miles north to Nebraska. We lived right there on the Nebraska border. Grew up absolutely despising Nebraska Cornhusker football because it was all that we heard of.
Yeah.
I'm a huge K-State Wildcat fan.
Well, you're only 40. What, an hour? It's only an hour to K-State, right? To Manhattan from there.
It was an hour and 20 minutes.
Hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. But huge K-State Wildcat fan. But then I'm always reminded that red and blue makes purple.
Yeah.
Which is the colors of the Kansas Jayhawks.
Well, usually at the bottom of the bucket, that's like the color. That's where those colors settle. Because more that red and the white kind of is always on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
There's
I
no such thing
graduated in a class of 11 people. That shows you how small of a town I grew up in.
11 people.
Was it all one room?
People. No, we had multiple rooms. We had three little towns made up our school district. Went to junior high 15 miles away in Haddam, Kansas. That was our grade school and junior high, and then you came to Mooreville for high school.
Because the high school was right there, and I've been there just because it's the one that's right north of right north of where your mom and dad's house was.
Yep. Which has now been sold and turned into somebody's house.
The high school?
Yeah. When the district dissolved, they went, what are we going to do with this building? So they sold it to some people in town, and they live in it. I mean, they live in this huge schoolhouse, and then the shop and the wood shop and ag shop is now the city cafe. So yeah, it's weird. The track's gone, the football field's gone. It's now just a big cornfield.
Chris graduated with a little more than 11.
And
a few.
More. How many do you have in your class?
It's like 400, 398, 399, somewhere in there.
Wow. I think we won one basketball game my entire time in high school. It was rough.
Sucks.
It was rough playing sports there.
Well, I think UConn since then is quadrupled in size.
I was gonna say when you went to school in UConn though, it was
still big.
It was back in the 40s and
80s.
That's back in 80s. Even honestly, I'll go back. So back in the 80s, UConn. There was a definite definition between UConn and Oklahoma City.
Yep.
Now,
right.
Once you head west,
it's just a suburb.
Yeah.
It's you don't know where one starts and stops.
That's what I was getting.
Well, actually, you do. There's a road called Mustang Road, which is UConn's rival, right? UConn built a new, they call it UConn U. It's like a small university high school with their athletic facilities. And it was on Mustang Road. That's where they built it. And so they played
it. Was that on purpose?
No, they played it out. They thought that would be nice and simple, but I guess they had to go through the whole legal system of changing the road, and they were fighting it. One side is really, I don't know. It was Mustang because it was the rival town.
So did you know Garth Brooks?
Actually, my brothers played football with him growing up.
Really?
He was around. Yep. My favorite story was he worked at a place called Ken's Pizza. I later worked in our small town, and a buddy of mine, DJ, and I were eating one day, and it was the end of buffet, and he comes over with a stack of pizzas and says, "Here, take these. Give these to all your friends."
That's not why he said that.
Well, I wasn't a big guy then. I was ripped. So, but and then I, here you go. Here's a serious memory. I remember I was with my father. We had just gone to the dentist, and we were going to lunch before he took me back to school, and it was at the end of the buffet where the workers could eat, right after. And I remember looking across and seeing Garth sit down in a booth by himself. He had kind of an apron or something on, right? Took that off and wore it right here. Bowed his head and prayed, and then ate. And I just remember saying, wow.
Yeah.
I just had so much respect for him, but.
And that's pre-anything.
Yeah. He had long hair. He was a tall, gangly dude. He was
I'll be darned.
He was a football player, javelin, trackster. He was pretty athletic.
Oh.
He's pretty athletic now, running across the stage. And
so probably if you called him, he'd remember you.
He remember my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
I mean, I'm
cool.
sure he's met a few people between here and there.
Yeah.
Sure he did.
Yeah. Like Richard Jones says, well, I tried to call him, but I'm sure they didn't recognize my number. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, mine was a little different. I grew up with 50. I graduated with 54. So
it surprises me because, what's a graduating class in Weston now?
I think
it's
they're
about
the same.
I think they're anywhere between 60 and 80. We kind of fluctuate. When they, I grew up. For those that don't know, I grew up in Weston, Missouri, and it's a small tobacco town in northwest Missouri here. And our claim to fame is tobacco and booze. I mean, it's home of McCormick Distillery, and we raise tobacco. So
and still to this day have tobacco auctions.
Yeah,
like
there's still one auction, I think, or two auctions. In January that we still have them. There's not as many people that grow tobacco anymore in this part of the country. The price of land has gone up, being a suburb now, 25, 30 minutes out of Kansas City. You can sell the ground for more than what you can raise tobacco on, and then with all the restrictions.
10 years.
But yeah, I grew up in Weston. It was home of tobacco and booze, and that was our claim to fame. You know, they always said if the river hadn't changed direction, because it changed course after a flood in the late 1800s, that Kansas City would have been the smaller one of the two, and Weston was growing. And that's because we were across the river from the Fort Leavenworth. So the fort we're 8 miles to Leavenworth for those. So, and the fort is right there. And so
you're talking about Fort Leavenworth, like Michael Vick Fort Leavenworth?
No, that's Leavenworth.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a couple doors down.
Well, and you always want to be looking into Leavenworth, not out of Leavenworth.
Yes. Yeah.
So we always looked into Leavenworth from where we were from. But yes, Leavenworth is home to all the prisons and everything else. But at that time, the Civil War had just happened, and the fort was there, and the river was right there, and Main Street, Weston, to this day, is if you go down the bottom of Main Street, you can tell where the old river ran, and it's all paved. But that's Weston, Missouri. That's
and 6 times a year, the river's running right through that piece of
pretty close.
It does. It will flood the tar out of that bottom part of Weston.
Yeah. So that's Weston. Not a big rodeo town. For either one of us.
I mean, it's a very artsy.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is, growing up, we didn't have we were agriculture, but I always say that we were a different agriculture. Western Kansas where you were farmers, lots of big combines and tractors and planters and those things. We have some of that, but we're on a bluff. And so a bluff being a big hill. And so you get down on the bottoms, and that's where we grew our tobacco. And we have hay crop and those things, but not to the extent of our guys were farmers that farmed year round, but not the same.
Yeah.
So back to Western sports, as we're circling back now, as we've gotten pigeonholed off on something else. Let's talk this weekend. We're coming into Kansas City, and we've got the WCRA coming in on Friday. Mm-hmm. We have seen a shift in rodeo, I think. So if you go to the ERA and those things, and it dissolved, and then WCRA came along and those things, I think we are starting to see a shift in the mentality of our competitors. They're saying, hey, this thing's real.
Well, it's just like anything else. It's like working a job. If I can figure out how to do the minimum and make more, then that's what we're going to do.
Efficient. If I can be more efficient with my efforts, yeah.
And we are now in that realm in rodeo where, Donnie Gay went to 110, 120 rodeos. That's just what he did. All those guys back in that time did. They went to every single rodeo that they could go to. If they could go to 3 in a day, they would. Well, that's changed. Part of that's changed because travel's easier now. But again, you can go to bigger money rodeos and try to capitalize on.
If you can go win 17,000 an event, versus 3,000, 2,000.
Yeah, absolutely. You had to go to more back in that time because there wasn't as many big rodeos. But the WCRA, the World Champions Rodeo Alliance, I'm kind of hitching my wagon to this because of the relationship with the PBR, and I believe in this organization. You can literally be anybody and have a chance to go to a rodeo that's going to pay $1 million. Kansas City Friday night will pay out $1 million in prize money. That is what's going to happen. And if you look at the bareback riding alone, only 2 of those guys that are in that bareback riding field, I believe, have been to the national finals. So you've got a lot of guys that are not household names in rodeo that are going to be a part of that because they nominated the rodeos that they went to during the year. And that could have been literally an amateur rodeo in Harrisonville, Missouri.
So that's just Orrin. You're talking about Orrin and Mason, right?
Yeah, Orrin and Mason.
Orrin Larson and Mason Clements. Those are your 2 bareback riders. Yep. Everybody else on this list of bareback riders is not, again, they're not known.
No.
But what else is awesome is now we've added an event in breakaway.
Yeah, breakaway ropers have a chance to win huge money for the first time in their,
but I mean, if you look at the list of those that made it, I mean, you've got Larry D and Jackie on that list.
Oh yeah, I mean as far as statistically great in any event, the most stacked event is the breakaway rope.
And because that's connected to the PBR per se with production and things like that, do these guys get to share points? Do they earn points? Does it affect, or is it just financially why they're going to go there?
So the money will not count for professional rodeo or anything
PRCA,
like that for the national.
There's no connection.
There is no connection with that. The WCRA has already said, and rightfully so, the world champion, we believe, happens in Las Vegas at the Wrangler NFR. Again, it's just like 20 years ago. It's like 20 years ago when the guys that started the PBR, they weren't against rodeo. They weren't against the PRCA. They just said maybe there's another option out there. Maybe there is a better way for us to make a living. Same thing with the WCRA. All we're doing is opening another door for a guy to make more money.
Right.
Now, there are alliances that have happened. One of those alliances is the IPRA, and it's going to do big things for the IPRA. And a lot of those bareback riders in that field are Canadian guys that spend a lot more time in the IPRA than they did in the PRCA. Now they're starting to come over. Ty and Isabel, those guys are starting to make that transition over to the PRCA side. But right now, even your college rodeo, you can nominate your college rodeos, you can nominate your high school rodeos. There's so much opportunity. Now, if you win on now the PBR or the bull riding side, that is a PBR event. Okay.
So Cody Teal, Stetson Lawrence, Jess Lockwood,
exactly.
Jose, and Zhao.
Yep, those guys.
Even
can
Josh
get
Frost is still
and whoever else is on this. So Josh is out.
Actually, they're all
So Josh Frost is out because of
injury. You got Stetson, Cody, Jess, Jose, Dakota Lewis,
Colton just come
Justin, Ray Mayo, and J.L.
Yep,
that's your guys entered in Friday night.
And the only guy that I don't believe is a real guy is Ray Mayo. I've never heard of him before.
I haven't either.
I'm starting to follow him a little bit on social media. He's been going to some little bull ridings. But think about a guy like that. If he comes and wins against everybody,
a great week. Yeah, has a great event.
$50,000 guaranteed he's going to win. Plus, velocity points is what it's going to pay. So then all of a sudden, he's in the game of the PBR too. So the only event that goes both ways on this weekend is, especially for PBR points, would be the bull ride side.
Okay.
But very, man, what the tie down roping looks great. The team roping the same way. One of the team ropers that's entered is Trey Johnson that got through Guthrie semifinal to get into the finals here in Kansas City. Trey's a preacher and a motivational speaker, an amazing team roper, but he just doesn't go full time because his ministry takes a lot of time away from him as far as roping goes.
Where's he from?
Texas, Stephenville.
Cool.
Yeah, he married Anthony, Lucia, and Lisa. He performed their wedding. He's amazing. I listen to the guy. I try to listen to a testimony of his every day. Of something.
But if you look at the team roping Friday night in Kansas City, dude, it's dirty. It's good.
I bet.
I mean,
yeah,
it's as
when you look at a guy like Garrett Tanazi has already won 2 majors.
Yeah,
and now he's back for his 3rd chance. And what's cool about
consecutive?
This one? No, so yeah, he won. Well, they won 2 in a row.
Okay,
so they won 2 majors in a row in 2019. Now the 2020 season and the rules that they've set up for that, if you can win 3 consecutive majors, which is so Kansas City's a major, Guthrie in May, the Days of 47, Cowboy Games and Rodeo in Salt Lake in July, and then we will have one in Tacoma, Washington in late August. If you can win 3 of those, we'll give you an extra $1 million bonus.
Just another opportunity to make a living.
So, very, very, very cool. And a lot of these guys are going to, to be honest, they're going to go from here straight to the American. So if you can do good at both of those rodeos, they don't have anything to do with each other. They're totally separate things. But you can do good at both of those rodeos, plus have a good winner.
And the American doesn't affect PRCA or
the American
PBR
does
points.
affect PRCA.
Yeah,
this
year does.
Affect PRCA.
Yeah.
It did
Which
last
is a
year.
change.
Yeah, it did last year.
It is a PRCA rodeo. Now,
the money doesn't
Are they
count.
counting? No, the money counts, but not all the money counts.
Okay.
So again, if that rodeo pays $100,000, or if you win $100,000, you can't count the entire $100,000 towards PRCA. Again, another reason why sports fans understand point systems and they don't understand money.
Right.
Kudos to the PBR for going on a point system where the rest of the world understands it and not about money, because then guess what? Every point counts and it makes more sense.
Well, I was just looking at that too with the monies and the points and stuff, because you look at the top 10 in the PBR, and you have Cole Melanson, who's new on the PBR scene, right? 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? He's sitting at 199,000.
Yep.
Right? Ahead of him is Keiki Pacheco, world champion, who is number 5. He's sitting on 72,000.
Right.
And so then you go right above him, Dalen Swearingen, 178,000. So then obviously the top 3 with Jose, Jess, and Zhao, are above that. But
that's where points make more sense than money. It just does. Basketball is a points game. Football is a points game. Golf is a point structure.
Yeah.
Bull riding is a point structure. Rodeo could easily be a point structure.
Yeah.
But you're also
see my eyes. It should be a point structure.
Yeah, but you've also got so in the world of rodeo, what's different is you can enter different associations in rodeo all year long. And what people don't understand is you have a guy that can go enter 3 amateur rodeos, and I use amateur, the word, I'm going to use it lightly. Okay? You can go enter 3 amateur rodeos and go to a pro rodeo all in the same weekend.
Yeah.
Other sports, you can't do that. But the money that counts, you can.
But it doesn't all count towards the same thing.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So a lot of guys will go to the upper echelon of guys. It happens all the time. They'll go enter an amateur rodeo.
Just for the money, right?
Slide in, win some gas money.
Yep, pay some bills.
And then go to the next big one.
Yep.
And so it's hard to make money and points because they're having to spend money to go other places and they're not winning. And it's just can we go to a point system? Yeah, the PRCA could go to a point system. But what is it? Like this weekend, let's talk about Denton. So Denton wins, 23,000 in San Antonio?
Right.
So Denton has a pretty good shot because I think he was already.
But that would be considered a major, and so the points would be higher for that versus Leon Rodeo.
You would just have to go in it, and okay. The
but
problem
you've also got averages, and
you would have to weigh 500 different rodeos in the PRCA. I get it. I do. I still just think points are way easier for the fan to understand.
Well, what really sucks is, when you're spending your time counting patches at an event, they don't have time to figure out a point system.
True.
And
that's true.
It's the things that have been on the forefront.
And you've also got what I think personally is you've got all these guys that they get to enter Fort Worth based off the year before. They get to enter, all those other rodeos. So if you have a great standout year, next year you might have a little better opportunity.
It's a momentum carrier.
Right. So it how do you give points to guys that can't even get there to get the points? Because there's places you can't enter.
Yeah, there's places you can't enter.
Yeah, Ground State.
And I've heheard this said that, it just needs to be opened up where everybody can enter everything. Okay, but that's a stock contractor nightmare right there.
Don't they call it slack?
Now
all of a sudden your slack
You can't run that. You can't run that many cattle through at Denver, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth.
Well, this gets into the whole conversation of butts in the seats versus money in the pockets of the contestants.
Let's look at the changes that we've made this year already in pro rodeo. How many rodeos have went to a tournament style format?
A lot.
To me,
is that for the audience?
To me, it's whatever.
Heck yeah.
They think it's for the okay. It's for the audience because the audience understands there's a winner. There's a different winner every night.
Yeah.
So when they leave, they don't have to, and your announcer doesn't have to recap the fact that, hey, Richmond champion won the round tonight. He was 79 points. But however, overall, Bill Tudor is 85 in the bareback riding. So he's leading. And everybody's going, well, we didn't see Bill ride.
Yeah.
So how can he be leading if he's not leading? So that's part of the reason that they have went to that style of rodeo. And I think the contestants like it because they get to go and they get to stay in a place for 3 days. Well, hold on. I think they like it until the middle of the summer when they don't get to go to all the rodeos, then they don't like it anymore.
Till you get to the point where you need to get to that next rodeo because you know that you're not going to probably get done what you need to get done there, or you have an opportunity to go get something done somewhere else, which was the case this year in Cheyenne.
Cheyenne was a perfect fact. They couldn't get away.
Guys couldn't do it this year.
They couldn't work. You couldn't work all of those rodeos, which was Salinas and Nampa, and all those rodeos at the same time as Cheyenne was going on. You would have had to stay there and do it. So,
but again, it's why what people don't see on the backside of this business is it is a business, and there's a lot that goes into it. And those that learn how to do it very, very well continually find themselves being successful, as in anything else out there. But when it comes down to rodeo, there are a handful of guys that do it. Most people don't know that there are people out there that enter for everybody else. That's a whole nother conversation on different day.
But sit right there and do that's all they do all day is enter for other guys.
Yeah, I mean, the Bulldoggers have a gal in Arkansas that enters them and knows how to enter them and puts them all in and knows their splits and what horses they're using and everything. And she does a fantastic job. But most people don't know that happens. You know, they're thinking, oh, they got their book out. You know, the old picture of Fred Whitfield standing at the telephone, what is that, like 96, I think, or whatever they posted. He's standing. Have you ever seen that picture?
No.
Fred Whitfield standing at a payphone, on a payphone with a day planner open.
Looking here, trying to talk.
And behind him, you see him. He's calling Procom, trying to get entered in X amount of rodeos. And behind him, he's got his truck with his Capri camper on and his bumper pull going to the next rodeo. But the whole point of it is rodeo is not that anymore. There are guys that have done a good job of making sure it's a business for them and being able to enter. And so that's when the point system. That's when the point system gets to be so hard, because what if you can't get points there, but you can still pick up dollars?
Right.
Because dollars is what's going to get you going down the road. So do you turn out because of the points because you know you can't get the points? I mean, I know money's tied to the points.
If you're top 10, you probably do. If you're the bottom 190, you're probably needing that $630 possible to win to pay for the next 3 rodeos.
Well, I'll tell you, a rodeo that's easy to understand is Friday night in Kansas City. $1 million major. The WCRA will. I'm going to be there hosting on Ride Pass. Just got an email that it'll have a 15-minute pre-show on Facebook Live. So got a couple conference calls to do this week on that. Final thoughts. So this week is Kansas City.
Hey, let's real quick. Helmet tip this week. We've been touching on everything else. Yeah. Give a quick 100X helmet tip.
Yeah, here's my helmet tip of the week. And it doesn't really have to do with exact 100X not. Just wear a damn helmet. Just wear a helmet.
Good idea.
Just wear a helmet. You know, and I get the cowboy thing. I get all that kind of stuff. But you know what? Hey, from sitting in the stands and watching the audience, those guys lose out. I think the riders lose out. Not all of them. Some of them have stayed very healthy, and that's awesome. And more power to you. We always say in bull riding, it's not ugly till it's ugly. Then when it's ugly, it is ugly. Right? And I just hate that for some of the guys, you know. So,
well, we see a lot more of it on our side just because we are the helmet guys. You know, we understand that. But yeah, wear a helmet. There is a significant difference between helmets out there.
Had a guy call this morning. Hey, Chase told me to call you and talk to you about a helmet. I don't wear a helmet right now, but he's telling me I need to be in a helmet.
Yeah.
Chase who? No, I'm just teasing. But
well, if you didn't see Chase Outlaw's hit in Cheyenne and not want to put on a helmet, you're an idiot.
Yeah, but again, there are guys that grow up different. They never rode in a helmet. They don't think they need a helmet. Whatever it may be. I'm a big guy. I hate putting on a seatbelt. Till you watch somebody fly out of a car, and then you need to put on a seatbelt. I mean, it's the same. It's the same. It's the same process.
You're right.
And that's actually a true story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is a true story.
Yeah, that is a true story. I was traveling to a rodeo in Sturgis, South Dakota, and I had Scott Burris and Jake King. Congratulations, who just got married this weekend. And who else was with us?
Is this pulling the trailer with horses on?
I had bulls in. Bulls on, yeah. And I was driving, and we are headed down the road, and all of a sudden we see a car in front of us, and we were just on the outside of Rapid City, and Brandon Loden's in the back seat, and Brandon and I have been talking, trying to keep each other awake. They picked me up in Kansas City, and we were headed there. Long story short, the car flipped, and we see her fly out, and I was humming along pretty I mean, I had, I think, 12 or 13 head of bulls on, and so we're moving 85 mile an hour. Anyway, she grazed the front of our truck.
Yeah.
And to see that happen in person, you know,
put your seatbelt on.
Put your seatbelt on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Safety helmet first and whatever.
That is what it is.
All right. So my final thought of the day, then I'll go right into that. If it's available, use it. On anything.
Yep. Technology.
I'm a big guy. Chris is a big guy. There's a gym 5 minutes down the road.
We should go use it.
Hey, why did we got to go there?
Well, because if it's available, use it.
You don't have to go there.
I know.
You should go there.
I agree.
I'm going to go there.
You're going to go there today?
Well, I was going to go there, but I left my shoes at the house. So
you know what?
Now
there are people that run mile upon mile in South Africa and Africa with no shoes on, so surely you can.
Not this dude. Not this guy. Not this guy. Any other final thought other than have the helmet, put on the helmet?
Yeah, I think overall, I'm enjoying watching the competitiveness and the undercurrent that is bringing some of the guys away, and then the current that's bringing some of the new guys in. Mm-hmm. That's still painful to see some of the young guys or some of the older guys or some guys who've been around for a while, you know, that maybe on the cut line or, you know, injury that's keeping them from being successful on the pro side. But it's awesome to see new Cowboys.
Yeah, it's an exciting time right now, I think, to watch Western sports. So.
I think it's also exciting on the flip side. We've got a couple older guys on the PBR side that are trying to make a run again. Mm-hmm. Between Willingham and Vin Johns. Mm-hmm. You know, two guys that have been there, done that. Now you're seeing them.
Vin's about as athletic as it gets.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know who Vin Johns is, if you watch American Ninja Warrior on TV, Vin is one of those guys.
Yep.
I say one of those guys like he is one of
not
those.
Not one of you guys?
Yeah.
And Sean is not.
Yeah. No, but Sean's not. But Vin is one of those guys that you see on American Ninja Warrior who's making a run. He's 45, 46 years old, and he set out and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna make the PBR finals this year." So, you know,
good luck to him.
And the only way to do that is to do what? Go through the Velocity.
Go through the Velocity Tour. You can't get to the top 35 in the world without going to the Velocity Tour. Right. It's just not going to happen. Probably not going to win the world title either. Because guess what? As soon as there's a weekend off when Jose can go, he's going to be there. So everybody else better be going too. Going to be a crazy week in the world of PBR. We've got North Charleston, South Carolina on the Pendleton Whiskey Velocity Tour. That's Saturday after the big Trump rally that will happen on Friday night in the same building. It's another story for another time. WCRA Rodeo in Kansas City on Friday night. PBR Unleash the Beast on Saturday and Sunday. We'll have an opportunity to hopefully get some more podcasts in this week with some of those guys that will be here for the week. My final thought of the week is stop talking about your mountains and start telling your mountains about your God, and he will move them out of the way for you. That's my little thought of the day. I don't have anything else to talk about.
It's all good.
I mean, we could go on literally all day.
Yeah.
But let's don't.
Till
let's
next
leave
week.
them wanting more.
That's right. Till next week.
See you, everybody.